That metal pipe running off the top of your water heater, the one heading up into the ceiling, has a much bigger job than it looks. Maybe you spotted a sooty smudge beside it, or caught a whiff like exhaust walking past, or just looked up one day and wondered what it does. Whatever sent you here, you are looking at the single most important safety part on a gas water heater, and most people never think about it until something goes wrong. So let me explain it in plain language. What that vent does, which kind you have, and the warning signs that yours is failing. I read through manufacturer venting guides, the National Fuel Gas Code, and a pile of home inspector breakdowns to boil this down for you. By the end, you will be able to read your own water heater the way a mechanic reads an exhaust pipe. That vent exists because your water heater burns fuel. A gas or propane burner under the tank lights a flame to heat the water, and burning fuel always sends exhaust up the flue. Two things in that exhaust are the danger. The first is carbon monoxide, a gas you cannot see and cannot smell, which is exactly what makes it deadly. The second is a surprising amount of hot water vapor. The vent's only job is to carry both out of your house before they reach the air you breathe. It protects your lungs, not your hot water. If your water heater runs on electricity, none of this applies to you. An electric unit has no flame and produces no exhaust, so it needs no vent at all. A thick electrical cable and no pipe up top means electric, and you can relax. A pipe heading up or out the wall means it burns gas, and the rest of this is for you. So how does the vent move that exhaust out? The most common type does it with nothing but physics. Warm air rises and the exhaust off the burner is hot, which makes it lighter than the room air around it, so it floats up the pipe and out the roof on its own. That natural upward pull is called draft, and it gets stronger as the pipe heats up. At the very top of the heater sits a bell-shaped gap called the draft hood. That gap lets the system breathe, and it is also the exact spot where exhaust spills back into the room if the draft ever fails. Hold on to that detail because it becomes the whole ball game in a minute. Now let me help you figure out which kind of venting you have because they fail in different ways. The oldest and most common is the atmospheric vent, that natural draft setup I just described. It looks like a plain metal pipe rising straight up off the heater with no fan and no power cord on it. Cheap and reliable in theory, but it leans entirely on that gentle drift, so anything that disturbs the drift causes trouble. A power vent is the next kind. It has an electric blower fan bolted to the top, so look for a power cord and usually white plastic pipe instead of metal. The fan pushes the exhaust out, which lets it run sideways through a wall instead of straight up. The catch is that it needs electricity and the fan makes a little noise. A direct vent is sealed up tight. It pulls the air it needs for burning from outside and sends the exhaust right back out, often through one pipe tucked inside another. Because it never touches your room air, it can sit in a tight closet where the others cannot. High efficiency and tankless units are usually condensing models which run cool enough to vent in white plastic. Quick cheat, metal going straight up with no plug is atmospheric, plastic with a fan is power vent, and twin pipes through the wall are direct or condensing. Now the part that quietly causes most of the real trouble, the pipe itself and what it is allowed to touch. There are two metal types and they are not interchangeable. Single wall pipe is thin, just one layer, and it has to stay 6 inches from anything that can burn, and it cannot pass through a wall, floor, or ceiling. Double wall pipe, which the trade calls B-vent, has 2 layers with an air gap between them. That gap keeps the outside cooler, so it needs only 1 inch of clearance and is allowed to run up through the ceiling and out the roof. The reason those numbers matter is heat. That pipe runs hot, and the most common mistake I see is somebody shoving insulation, a cardboard box, or stored junk right against it. Given time, that stuff can scorch or melt or catch fire. So if anything flammable is touching your vent, pull it back, 6 inches for single wall and 1 inch for the double wall kind. One more thing explains why a vent that looks perfectly fine can still fail. Where the pipe exits the roof, it has to rise about 2 feet above any nearby peak. If it ends up below a peak, wind blowing over that peak can shove the draft straight back down the pipe, snuff out your pilot light, and push exhaust into the house. Which brings us to the big failure, the one that actually hurts people. It is called backdrafting, and it happens when the draft reverses and the exhaust, carbon monoxide and all, spills out of that draft hood into your room instead of rising out. Here is how to catch it with your own eyes. Black soot or smudging around the draft hood or the top of the tank is an early warning. Melted or warped plastic on top of the heater is almost a guarantee it has already backdrafted. Rust on the tank top and heavy sweating on the nearby cold water pipes point the same direction. Trust your nose too, because a lingering exhaust or rotten egg smell or a pilot that keeps blowing out both signal a venting problem. What causes it is usually one of a few things. The most common today is your house pulling a vacuum on itself, a strong range hood, a couple of bathroom fans, and the dryer all running together can pull more air out of a tight house than leaks back in, and the easiest place to grab replacement air is straight back down that water heater flue. People chase this problem for weeks and then fix it by cracking a window. The other usual suspects are a blockage like a bird nest, a pipe section that has come loose after a roof job, or a heater swap nobody rechecked, or a vent built with too little slope and too many bends. One sneaky version is worth flagging on its own. If you swapped your old furnace for a modern high-efficiency one that vents out the side wall, your water heater may have been left alone on a chimney size for both appliances. That small burner often cannot warm the oversized chimney enough to start the draft, so it backdrafts. The trade calls it an orphaned water heater, and the fix is a chimney liner or a power vent conversion, which is a job for a professional. You can test the draft yourself in about a minute. Turn on a hot tap so the burner fires up, then hold a lit match you have just blown out, or a stick of incense near the edge of the draft hood. Smoke pulled up into the pipe means your draft is good. Smoke drifting out into the room means the heater is backdrafting and needs attention now. For the honest version, first close the windows and doors and switch on every exhaust fan and the dryer, because that is the worst case your vent has to survive. So here is where that leaves you. The vent is the exhaust system for a small fire living inside your house, and its purpose is to keep carbon monoxide and moisture out of the air you breathe. You can now tell which type you have, what the pipe is allowed to touch, and what a failing vent looks and smells like. A lot of what you might find, like junk against the pipe or a loose joint after a roof job, you can clear yourself. Anything past that, a confirmed backdraft, a suspected carbon monoxide problem, or an orphaned heater on an oversized chimney, is the moment to call a licensed plumber, since venting codes shift from one town to the next. Above all, put a carbon monoxide detector near both your water heater and your bedrooms, because it catches the one danger your senses never will. I have linked a good low-level carbon monoxide detector and a few of the other bits down in the description. Go look up at that pipe now, and you will finally understand what it has been doing up there all along.